Good morning, Mr. Tito. I am Balqis Azzahra W from the 7th semester. In these occasions, I want to presentations about psycholinguistic in meeting 7. The theme is memory prose. In these presentations, by mind mapping, I want to presentations about what is memory and then what affects memory, and also about levels of memory. And the levels of memory, I have a sensory memory, short-term memory, and long-term memory. And then I want to giving a types about sensory memory, that is the types of sensory memory. Thank you. For the point one is, what is memory? Memory is our ability to encode, retain, store, and subsequently recall informations and past experience in the human brain. Memory is a place to store the result of the process of hearing, and the uniqueness of memory is remember what is captured by our ears and until it reaches the network in our brain. In the process of keeping this memory, there are several procedures occur. And then for the point two is what what affects in our what affects in memory when our memory is the point one is type of language. Was the passage of an ordinary conversations, a formal lecture, a play, a poem, and or a list unrelated sentences, a psychological experiments. And this point is language is the main role in our life for exchanging the message and informations. And language is a part of human life because every human aspect involved with language. There are several opinions about the relationship between humans and language. Sapir-Whorf states that a language creates human too, and human language determines human too. Human cannot live without a language, and human lives under language. For the example is first language, it's human too, and another theory is that language becomes part of human life to survive by Piaget. And then thinking, uh, the next point is survivals, and after the survivals is language. For the point two, input. Did we hear passively? Try to memorize it word for word and listen for the gist only, or listen for nothing but grammatical errors. And this for the explain of this point is we've known for a long time that human rise in more linguistically diverse environments develop greater linguistic competence in their native tongue, and the student who read more outside of school improve their writing skill and reading skill more than any activity. Is the best predictor of adult vocabulary development. It is more than just reading and just acquire the vocabulary. There appears to be some experimental evidence that suggests the improved language is being driven by language input. And also, these findings support the input hypothesis because they all point to link between language exposures and language ability. And I want to explain about point 3. Point 3 is retention interval. Did we hear it a moment ago or a year ago? And the explanations about this point is the retention interval is defined by psychologists as the time between learning and testing. During that time, memories can consolidate, which aids retentions. However, there are be experiences that erode memory. Consider what you had for lunch, and in this it means it's consider what you had for lunch yesterday, a relatively simple task, but one you may struggle to recall 7 days ago, 7 days or 7 days later. And in this it means consider what you had for lunch yesterday, a relatively tax. However, if you are asked to recall what you had for lunch uh, 17 days ago, you may fail. It counts because assuming you do not eat the same thing every day. And about the your 16 lunches since they then have created retroactive distractions. And this point 4 is output. Are we trying to recall it verbatim or only trying to decide a test a test sentence whether or not it was what we had? And this point is we're gonna next in levels of memory. In levels of memory, we have a sensory memory, a short-term memory, and long-term memory. And this kinds sensory have a types of the sensory memory. For the first is iconic memory. It relates to the things you see, and it has a large amount of storage, but a safe memory for less than a second. The brighter the image, the longer it will stay in your iconic memory. And then for the echo memory is related to sounds and hearing, what we are here, and the sounds in our life. Your brain takes a few seconds to process the echo memory. Once sounds enter your ear, your temporal lobe processes. Research show that echoic memory is essential for language learning, and that people uh, who have a speech difficulties can retain echoic memory for a shorter period of time. And we can see in this maybe we have a haptic memory. For this type of memory is related to your sense of touch. These can include sensations such as pressure, pain, and like our itchings our skins, and then or something that feels good. Something that feels good, and then haptic memory lets you identify the things you touch. For examples, when you touch your nose, when you touch your eyebrows, and many things we can touch. We can feel the textures, or we can feel the forms of the things in our life. And then I want to presentations what is about the short-term memory. In the short-term memory holds a limited amounts of informations for a limit time period. And then how about the long-term memory? And next we are next in the long-term memory. For the long-term memory, in this points it means holds unlimited amounts of informations indeterminately. And that's all for the memory of parts in this meeting 7. Thank you, Miss.